Hello and welcome to FA TV. I'm Tina Dahealy and today I'm joined by Head of Safeguarding at the FA, Sue Ravenlaw, who's here to discuss how football protects children and young people across the game. What does safeguarding in sport and in particular football look like?
Sport's been involved in the safeguarding agenda since the late 1990s, and what that means in practice now is that the FA and other governing bodies of sport have to demonstrate that we've put standards in place and safeguards in place across the game, and that's monitored by a body called the Child Protection in Sport Unit.
Can you give us some examples of those standards you talk about?
We have a network across the game of lead people in clubs, whether that's the professional game or the 10,000 youth football clubs, and that they know what they're doing and work with their management teams to put those safeguards in place. In addition to that, we have to look at those that are in roles that give them power and influence over children, like coaches and managers who pick and choose who's playing, and ensure that those are criminal records checked and that those people have had safeguarding training. So we've done 50,000 checks a year, and also 35,000 people go through that training.
What responsibilities do professional clubs have?
In addition to that, they obviously need to make sure that all of their staff understand the conduct that is expected of them, and they need to monitor that. And obviously if anything comes to light, to deal with that. And if someone's in a role wider than the club, then to inform ourselves so that we can become involved, or the statutory agencies.
Are criminal record checks carried out on all players?
The law, not football, governs who can and can't have a criminal records check. And simply playing, although that might bring quite a lot of celebrity for some, isn't a role that we can legally criminal records check. If someone's in that wider role where there's a position of influence and trust over a child, I mentioned coaching or managing or being a medic, then we must criminal records check those roles. But simply playing doesn't mean that we do.
Is it possible that people still slip through the net?
Unfortunately, there are people who don't behave responsibly and don't respect clear boundaries when working with children and young people. We've seen the devastating effects of celebrities across many walks of life who have abused their position of power and influence that the celebrity status gives them. We all have a duty to learn from these incidences, these cases, whether they're in sport or not, and to take those lessons and improve the environments that we have.
So what happens when a player who has a criminal history of child abuse, sexual activity with a child or grooming decides to return to football after serving their sentence?
The Rehabilitation of Offenders Act governs how we can work in this respect. If someone wants to come back to playing, then as I've mentioned earlier, we're not able to do a criminal records check. If their conviction and the details of the conviction were in the public domain, then it may be possible to check whether there are any legal restraints around their activity or their involvement with children, and then to risk manage that with any involvement that they do have. This would be a club's responsibility to do that if it was an employee, and of course clubs can ask for help with that process.
Is there anything more that football can do?
We continue to review our practice and to look at ensuring the child's welfare is the most important thing. And we do this collectively with all the bodies in football. We'll look at what guidance might need to be improved and what further education we could do.
If people have concerns, what should they do?
So within football, they can go through the lead officers at their club or league, county or FA level. Or they can go outside of football, they could go through the NSPCC's helpline, or if they're really concerned about the immediate welfare of a child, they should go direct to the police or to Children's Services. And while we must do all of these things, because they're really important, let's be crystal clear that the majority of children have a fantastic time in football.
Thanks, Sue. If you have any questions about this really important area, you can email them to info@thefa.com. Thanks for watching.